I was over the bloody moon. Yeah, especially when Kai Havertz points to the badge. He knows where it's at. Yeah, this is his home, the Emirates Stadium. So big up to Kai Havertz. What a goal! He's come back with a vengeance. Come back looking like a new player, and I'm impressed. Very impressed by his performance. Overall, the game. I mean, we know what Mikel was going to go and do. He's going to go play for a 0-0. I mean, why not? We're already through, but the goal was an extra bonus to make it 4-2. I mean, overall on the two legs, can't be argued. We deserve the win, deserve the final place, and yeah, feels good to be in our first final in 5 years. So since the FA Cup, so it was good to be back in the final. It was good to be on course to win our first trophy of the season, and then once the Carabao Cup's in the bag, then we need to secure the Premier League.
So you seem very confident about winning the Carabao Cup. Do you think that will most definitely be your first silverware of the season?
100%. I've got no doubt in my head. That Man City team, I mean, yeah, they beat Newcastle, but as I've said on many, many shows, Eddie Howe right now, I still don't know how he's employed. He should be gone because he's taking that Newcastle team further down. They're going to be fighting relegation soon. They're going to be Spurs level soon. We don't want that. Newcastle are a good club, a good fan. So we want Newcastle to, be stable. But under Eddie Howe, they're not. And they're doing poor. They're folding completely. And that City game doesn't show... It shows more how bad Newcastle are than the City are. So we'll see how they are in the final. But I don't see City as a real crazy threat. Obviously, they've got Haaland and, big players. But we're a better team than them.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say, you played against Man City already this season, and it was 1-1 at the Emirates, I think. Haaland scored early, and then Martinelli equalised right at the end. But overall, Arsenal seem like probably the best team in Europe and in English football at this moment in time, so it looks set for them to at least win something. But Max, do you think there's any chance a quadruple could be on the horizon for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal?
I had the same feelings 2, 3, 4 years ago, JP, with my team. Look, I think the quadruple is the hardest thing to do in football for obvious reasons. Obviously, winning 4 trophies in the season's like nigh on impossible. You know what? I don't think so for Arsenal. But I didn't think so for me as well. It's a nice thought to have. Especially if I'm an Arsenal fan right now, great position you are. I just think it's such a hard thing to do. I just think it's realistically impossible, really, for Arsenal to win the quadruple.
And looking on the other side, because obviously Man City reached the final 2, they pretty much dispatched of Newcastle quite convincingly across both matches. But Jared, do you think, because obviously Man City are also challenging for the Premier League title, but do you think they need to win this Carabao Cup trophy to give them sort of a lift for that title push towards the end of the season?
I mean, for me, it's the point of the season, right? If City do beat Arsenal in this cup final, which I think they're very capable of doing, I think Arsenal, maybe the occasion will get to them. Possibly they could win a trophy this season. I'm not discouraging that. They're in the FA Cup, they're in the Carabao Cup final, they're in the Champions League, which they top the group. Obviously, that's immense quality. No one's done it in this new league stage format where they've won all 8 games. So, yes, Arsenal do look like they could win a trophy this season. Do I think it's delusional of Arsenal fans to say that they're going to win the quadruple? Somewhat. I mean, if the shoe was on the other foot and the blue badge was flying high, then I would say that we'd be on for a quadruple. Every fan's got it in them. But back to this Carabao Cup final, if City win, then that is the turning point. That is, right, we can hunt these down now. That starts to creep. That doubt creeps in the Arsenal players' minds. Can we actually do this? We've failed our first test, the smallest hurdle in the 4 trophies available. Can they then go and compete for the league? You look at 2 injuries to that team, that Arsenal team isn't the same. If you look at Declan Rice, if you look at Gabriel, they get injured, they're out for the rest of the season. I don't think that Arsenal team can do it.
Tom, I don't really need to ask you about who you're going to be supporting in the final. I'm guessing you're going to be facing Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. But speaking about the final itself, who do you think is the favourite for this? Do you think it's Arsenal the favourites, or do you think Man City will get the edge over them at Wembley?
If I was going to be in the bookies right now, I'd probably say even odds. And the only reason I say even is because Arsenal are probably the better team currently, but City just have that, mentality of winning trophies, which, as Arsenal, as good as they are at the moment, they just haven't had that trophy experience yet. And they probably will hopefully get one of this season, because if they don't, and I've probably got a question for Ty here, if somehow Arsenal don't come away with one trophy this season, could it be the most embarrassing bottle job of the season ever? The fact that you've been in a final of a Carabao Cup, you're 6 points clear of the Premier League. You guys have all been saying you're going to win a treble quadruple. If you don't come away with one trophy, would this be the end of Arteta and quite an embarrassing time for Arsenal fans?
But before I answer that, I will say I don't do ifs, buts, and maybes. Yeah, I do absolutes.
Yeah,
but I'll also say that Man City team is not the same City team as they were a few years ago. All those mentality monsters that they had before that we used to winning trophies. I mean, half of them are gone. Bernardo Silva, Bernardo Silva might still be there. Kevin De Bruyne is gone.
Yeah, who else?
A lot of that back line is gone. Kanji's gone. All the players that won the UCL, a lot of them, those mentality monsters are gone. So it's not the same City team that used to
Then
win.
you've got Paris Saint-Germain UCL winner with Donnarumma. You've got
Haaland,
UCL winner
Foden
with Man City. Foden,
who
I believe Jeremy Doku was in that team, or maybe he signed the season after. I'm not sure.
Reinders, AC Milan,
Ruben
winner.
Diaz.
Reinders, what did Reinders win at AC Milan?
AC Milan won the league.
Huh?
AC Milan won the league, didn't they? A few seasons back.
I don't know if he's part of that team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. He's always been there.
I actually believe he transferred to AC Milan that season after they won the
Okay, maybe I was wrong. But
what about Gundogan? No Gundogan.
No Gundogan.
I'm very passionate about this, and you boys know how passionate about this I am. This City team, it's not, you can't compare this City team to the team we had to compete against the league.
It's a treble, a few seasons back, they were a treble winning team.
Different team. The teams that we had to compete against were, oh my gosh, I hate those teams so much. They were so good. It was so good. Something I feel really passionately about. I've had many arguments with Arsenal fans about the legitimacy of this title, and I've always said, look, winning a league title is winning a league title, but the City teams we'd have to play against, that 2020 COVID title. Wow,
but Max, then again, you won the league title last year when we were as poor as City were.
I agree.
It was a walk.
Last season there wasn't
much
challenge. It wasn't a cakewalk, but it wasn't exactly the hardest title win. That any team's had to go under, really. So
I dare say for the past 2 seasons, it's been the best of a bad bunch, really.
Yeah, I don't. I think there's a lot of teams. I even said, me and Ty were having an interesting discussion in the WhatsApp chat the other day. But I even was stating that Man United, I think, are just on the rise, and I don't think it'll be long till they're back to their. I mean, when you think of it, even in their bad moments, they were still winning trophies because they're just Man United. It's just what they do. They were still picking up Carabao Cup, FA Cup.
They need the right man. They need to stop this hiring. Amorim is playing well. We need to hire Amorim.
No, I think Carrick could be the man.
I don't
like
know so
Carrick,
much.
the Middlesbrough. I know it seems like a step up, but he just knows the club, don't he?
It's a bit early to judge. It's a bit early to judge. But going back to your question about Mikel, where if he wins no trophies, which I mean, it's like a 1% chance we win nothing. I think we will. I think we're guaranteed one trophy.
There should be a chance.
We're guaranteed one trophy, I think. But if somehow we don't, then obviously it can't go on like that.
Do you, because look, I admit you're a good club, right? You're a good team right now. You're one of the best in the world. But do you generally, from the bottom of your heart, every part of it, believe you can win the Champions League? Or do you think, or be honest, when Spurs got to that Champions League final, even when we you want to win, there's a part of you want to win the Champions League. You've made it this far, you think. but there was even still a part of me to think we're still coming up against Liverpool in that moment. You know, they're still probably one of the best. They were probably the best team in the world at that moment. You know, we're a good team, but we're not Liverpool in that moment. We were always the underdogs. It's always going to be tough. You know, you want to win, and anything can happen in a game, but there was always a slight part of me. It was like, you know, as sad as it is, Liverpool probably could come out victorious over this. Like, is there any club you'd say that you're going to come up against and be like, I think we could lose this? Like, we could win, but there's probably a high chance we're going to lose.
You know what? The only club I look at, because the Champions League has been so, like, in terms of the big teams, they haven't actually been that good. Like, this Champions League is actually all, like, it's so open. It could be anyone's. So I actually think the only team that I'm looking at fearing is Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think we could beat Madrid.
Yeah, Barcelona are the real deal.
Yeah, we could beat Madrid. We already beat Bayern Munich in the group stage.
Yeah, I know, but it's a completely different game.
We already beat Inter Milan.
Knockout stages.
City, I think over 2 legs would be a tough game. But
I think Liverpool in the Champions League is 2 legs is tough.
Over 2 legs, I think we have you lot. I think we have you lot.
Do you know what? I dare say even coming to the bridge.
Every Liverpool fan bangs on about it, but an Anfield Champions League night in the knockouts, it's a scary place to go to. It's a scary place. Arsene Wenger, your legendary manager, even said that that's the toughest ever game he's ever had to manage is Anfield away in the Champions League knockouts.
Well, do you remember?
I mean, look what happened to Barcelona. Not too long ago.
Look what happened. I mean, there's been exceptions, of course. We had the whole Atletico Madrid game right before COVID. That was horrible. But you look at the games like Roma, that whole Champions League, beating City, was it 3-0 at home?
But last season you were really good and you lost at home to PSG. So it was like,
PSG was the best team in the world.
PSG team was the best team in the competition.
We beat them in the group stage. We beat that PSG team in the group stage. We were just so poor in the knockouts.
They didn't.
But that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say though. Like, you said you beat Bayern, and fair play, you did beat Bayern, but a group stage, a 1-game group stage where it's just points is so much different to 2-round knockout game. You know, playing the same team back to back, going to their stadium. Yeah. When a group stage game, if Bayern lost that game, right? Did it affect them anyway? No, they still got second in the group stage, still in the exact same position. It is not as much of a need to win where the knockout is so big. Like, you even saw it, I think, last year when you lost. Didn't you get knocked out by Bayern Munich last year?
No,
PSG last year. Season before was Bayern Munich.
But like, even then, like, Bayern weren't at their best then.
No, they were poor.
But because they just have that, that Champions League experience that Arsenal didn't have, they just knew how to get it over the line. And it's the same as Real Madrid.
That's what we mean about the winner's mentality.
It's a season when Real Madrid were winning Champions League. If you actually look back at it, there was a few seasons where they won the Champions League and they weren't actually great throughout the Champions League. Like, there was a few games where the group stage,
the one where they beat
City last minute.
I think it's the club's mentality plays a big role. And that's the biggest worry for Arsenal is there's no European pedigree.
Yeah.
It's set up in the club. Like, whenever
it's so rare that it does happen.
Yeah.
Like, even when your smaller teams get further in, like Bodo Glimt get into the semi-finals of the Europa League last season, because they don't have that. Obviously, they're a team in Sweden. They're obviously going to find it hard to dominate against the teams in Europe, like your Bayern,
especially away.
Exactly.
That's why I'm That's why I'm still confident. I'm still confident that we have a chance at the Champions League.
But Max,
that's why I'm confident we have a chance as well.
But didn't everyone say this about PSG? They haven't got a mentality for it. But they had no European pedigree. They didn't have the mentality for it. And then what they did?
They had
their
recruitment was so pinnacle
at that point. And
it's because they won. It's because they won. They won the French Cup.
They always win the French.
They always win the French Cup.
Also, they had a manager that was so Champions League experienced, that had that pedigree that could take them to that.
He is also the manager that knocked out that same PSG team to that same victory, 6-1 victory.
6-1.
The same manager.
Yeah.
The Champions League is such a it's like the FA Cup. I love the FA Cup because even though like majority of times the Prem team wins, it always just has that chance of like smaller clubs getting to first stage. Do you remember when Wrexham made it like the quarterfinals, Palace winning the FA Cup? Like, you have those chances. Like, look, I'm not even going to say it because Spurs are not the favourites to ever win the Champions League. We're not going to be. There's too many big pedigree teams in there that are going to be way ahead of us. Even the likes of most of your clubs, to be fair, are probably above us.
Yeah.
But But it's like we've been so bad in the Premier League, right? Even last season we were terrible, and I know it's only the Europa League last season, but even in the Champions League this season, Spurs are kind of like a cup team. That's in our history. We've always been a cup team because if you look at our trophies, we've never won a league. We've won the Europa League 3 times now. We are, but since I've watched us, even in the last decade, every time we've made a Champions League, we've had a good run. It's like we just know for some reason our club. I don't know if it's a pedigree. I don't know what it is, but our club just seems to know how to do a cup run in a European football nights. I'm not sure what it is because Frank can't do that much different, doing what he does in the Prem to what he does in the Champions League. But we just seem to have this different kind of effect. And I don't know if it's because, you're playing clubs from other countries, physicality is different, pace is different. That's why it could be if we come against a Prem team in the Champions League, it could be a different story. But even when we played PSG, both times, I know we lost, but you got to remember they were the best team in the world. But when we played them in the Super Cup and even in the group stage, we lost 5-3 to them in the group stage. And we still got 3 goals past them. In Super Cup, yes, we might have technically, bottled it, but no, who even thought we're going to... But then again, who even thought we're going to get that far? Everyone said we're going to get thrashed 6-0, 7-0. So the fact that we even got to that point was.
But it doesn't matter though because you still lost.
The Premier League is so far advanced compared to every other league in the world right now that players find it hard to come in and adapt to the Premier League straight away. It takes them 3, 4, 5, even sometimes a year. It takes them a good while to settle in. But when you buy a Premier League established player, like even João Pedro is a good example. Come in, did his bit. He's on 16 goals and assists in the Premier League this season so far. He's used to it. You look at Florian Wirtz, who was meant to be the star signing.
He's good.
6.
Give him credit.
He's top quality.
Florian Wirtz is a good player, but he's on 6?
Do you know what's
we bought a player from Brighton and he's doing well, and you bought a player from the German champions.
Yeah, I see. Do you know what? Yeah, but do you know what? I do agree with your statement too, because Max has definitely seen this season, because it happened to Simons as well. And I'm not saying Simons is the same player as Wirtz, but they were both top 10s that come out the German league. Both for big money. Obviously, Wirtz was the star signing. But Simons was still he was still.
Simons was Spurs' star signing, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was our star signing. Do you get what I mean? So Wirtz and Simons have both come in, to be that star sign. They both had such a bad start. But if you remember, every time they played in the Champions League, like when they've Champions League stepped up, even though and Liverpool and Spurs were both down, the Wirtz and Simons suddenly stepped up in the Champions League, and it's because they're playing against non-physical teams, especially Simons against Frankfurt and Dortmund. He battered them.
That was Wirtz against Frankfurt.
Because he just knew, and Dortmund too. He just knew how to play against these German clubs because he was used to it, and you could see him how why he played so well in that league, because he just knew. But now Wirtz and Simons, they got a bit of confidence in them, but they're starting to understand the Premier League a little more, not just the physicality of it, the speed of it, and if you're watching Wirtz lately, he's getting goals and assists.
He's winning Player of the Month.
If you're looking at Simons, if you're looking at Simons, especially last 5 6. If you're looking at Simons' last 5, 6 games, especially that City game, he was running riot, especially in that second half. He was, I know they're a City team that's not at their best, but still to be running riot in that City midfield, and with the likes of Rodri, stuff sitting in the midfield, he was good. You got to give him credit where he's due. He was if we didn't have him in that squad at that point, I don't think we would have won that game, or drew that game.
I do think Chelsea in a cup competition.
No, he's having a laugh. Do you think Liam
Look, hear me out. Any of the big clubs who have finished in the Champions League, your Real Madrids, your Bayern Munichs, your Chelseas, your Arsenals, even your Tottenhams who have been playing well in the Champions League.
Liverpool.
Right? Liverpool.
Your Liverpool?
Sorry, I forget about you lot sometimes, yeah.
They're bigger than you.
any one of them big clubs has a chance of getting an easier run of games, nicer run to the final, and an upset.
Jared, you talk about mentality. Your manager's got the mentality of Hull and Strasbourg. What the?
Okay.
What's going on?
Roberto Di Matteo.
What's going on?
Roberto Di Matteo. Who did he have?
Derby.
Roberto Di Matteo. Who did he have
Roberto Di Matteo. Cue the
Who did he
TalkSport
have?
clip. Cue the TalkSport clip. Roberto Di Matteo.
Yeah, who did he manage before us?
No, Fairs. But
And he did it.
If you
Yeah,
look,
but you're talking
Jared,
about
Jared,
one in a probably
One in a million
100,000
chance.
managers that can actually just come in and get the
You
job
look
done.
at the 2 times Chelsea have won the Champions League. A manager has come in January time after the manager has been sacked, and we've gone on to win the Champions League.
Okay, who are those
Frank
managers?
Lampard,
Who are
it
those
hasn't
managers?
been-
Name those managers.
There's a difference
came
between
in.
Thomas Tuchel and
Frank
Liam
Lampard
Rooney,
got
right?
fired, and Thomas Tuchel came in. And
Thomas Tuchel
Andre
was serial winner,
Thomas
yeah.
Tuchel was world class.
Andre
Serial winner.
Villas-Boas got fired in 2011-12 season, which Roberto Di Matteo came in.
So it's happened twice. And
It's happened twice, but one of them
class.
is a world-class
Why can't I
winning
be biased?
mentality.
But Jared say Chelsea can win the Champions
Well,
League.
because you're not a biased man.
What?
I think very much the way we set up. You know, we went into it with a 45-minute tactic of not going behind. Now we're already behind in the game. You've got to start, maybe not straight away. You know, obviously find your feet in the game, get your rhythm. You know, get a little bit of control, get your first 2 or 3 touches, get your first few passes off. You know, then start to make the changes to go for it. I would always say Liam Rosenior is not a 90-minute manager. He's a 60-minute manager. You know, as great as his results
He's not actually a
have been,
manager
obviously,
at all, I don't think.
1-6 lost 2 in his first 8 games. Done all 4 competitions. You know,
Jesus.
all right, it's been a
Christ.
bit of a challenge for him, but he hasn't played anyone huge. You look at your Pep Guardiolas, you look at your Jørgen Klopps. They set up for the entire game. Liam Rosenior is not there as a manager to have a full 90-minute plan to control the game from minute 1 to minute 90.
I think your silliest thing you ever done was sat Pochettino, to me personally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
I think
No,
that was a
no,
very
Poch-
silly moment.
Poch
from
wasn't the
Chelsea.
man. Poch wasn't the man. Maresca was the man. Poch wasn't the man.
I
Right,
know, but am I wrong to say that, Jared? Sorry, Jared and JP, I know it had something to do with like they weren't buying the players he wanted. He was more of a coach than a actual manager, you know, and all that. But do you really believe that if you had Pochettino, you'd be doing a lot better?
No, Pochettino's season at Chelsea was actually quite good, you know. He got us back into Europe. When we finished in the Europa League space, actually, and the only reason we dropped down into the Conference League was because
United beat
won the FA
City.
Cup.
Yeah.
And also, he also got the best out of Cole Palmer as well. That was Cole Palmer's best ever season in the Premier League so far, under Pochettino.
And you played good football.
And
I
I think really, with Pochettino, he never really got on with the Chelsea fans, really, being a former Tottenham manager. And also, I think the final nail for him was probably the 5-0 defeat against Arsenal at the Emirates. I think.
Oh, yeah. That makes a great gift, by the way. That makes a fantastic gift every time.
I think those were only 2 things, but overall, he was a good manager for us. And I don't know, maybe we could have been a bit better. In what was Maresca's season last season, he could have probably, you know, gone on.
You reckon he was better than Maresca?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Do you think he was better than Maresca? You think
Yeah,
he done better than
managed
Maresca?
than Maresca.
You can't because
Maresca got us into the Champions League. We qualified for the Champions
and 2
League.
trophies.
And 2 trophies. So, but Pochettino, you can't say he was rubbish at Chelsea. He done his bit.
But didn't before Pochettino joined, you lot were like really low down. You were like,
Yeah, we had the dark days
13th,
of
weren't you?
Potter.
14th the season before.
Yeah,
and then technically he did get you
was,
Europa League football. Like
yeah, that was
to
the
go
Graham
from
Potter-
there to there
Potter
is quite a
Frank
big
Lampard
jump.
season. Yeah, I was
And
going.
all
And the
you
boys
trying-
did their best.
And to be fair, no one knew, you know, you were still in a shambolic place. Your defence wasn't great. It was only because, you know, you brought in Cole Palmer and Poch got the best out of him that he was able to push you guys to the Europa League spots. You got to remember, without Cole Palmer that season, would you have even been in that position?
Nicholas
You know.
Jackson scored
never know. You
15
never know.
goals in all comps.
Yeah, with Cole Palmer assists.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a very good team anyway. I mean, even when Cole Palmer was injured for
You
a
had
little
Gallagher,
bit
didn't you?
in this season as
Yeah, we
well,
had Gallagher, Madwicki.
like we can play without
Modric.
him, but I think it's imperative that he
Worst signing
stays at
ever.
the club. I think selling Cole Palmer would have to be for a lot of money. As we spoke about last week, it's going to be at least north of, I don't know, 180, maybe even 200 million. So he's probably going to be at Chelsea for a while. You spoke about Eddie Howe, considering that he should be probably leaving Newcastle soon. Like he's running a little bit, but I mean, I was watching the second leg yesterday, and for me, it just didn't seem like. I mean, I know they scored a goal, but it just didn't seem like Newcastle put any effort into retaining their Carabao Cup. How did you see their performance across the two games?
I mean, when was the last time Newcastle put any effort into any of their Premier League games, regardless of the Carabao Cup? It just seems like the team is just so dire and so lackluster. I mean, where did it go wrong? They threw the competition away, to be honest, because they probably prioritised the Premier League game and to be honest, they don't have the squad to balance both competition. So Eddie Howe clearly, gone and said to the boys, go out and play football, and whatever happens. You don't really care about the result, and that's what it seemed like. It seemed like the game was already gone. They didn't bother really trying in that second leg, and it's disappointing because that Newcastle team last season, you never know, that might have been overturned. But this season, like a whole different teams. It's a shell of what they used to be. So it's disappointing.
Yeah, it was, and I don't know about Newcastle. I mean, to be honest, they're still in the FA Cup, and they could still qualify for a European position as well. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they could go on to win the Champions League too if they win their playoff. But
I think they have more of a chance than Chelsea, to be fair, because Eddie Howe is a better manager than Liam Rosselló.
Well. I mean,
but look, they like Newcastle played well for 40 minutes. We're forgetting Newcastle played well for 40 minutes at Anfield, pressured us, couldn't hold the ball. At Anfield, like, doesn't matter what Liverpool team it is, doesn't matter what situation we're in, you're still playing at Anfield. Took the game to us, went 1-0 up, and then Ekitike went wild for 5 minutes, and that killed their confidence. I just feel that both teams that lost these Carabao Cup semi-finals, both performances I thought were appalling. I think Chelsea, Jared, if that Chelsea team's winning a Champions League, then we're on cloud cuckoo land. We're on cloud cuckoo land, because unfortunately, look, I respect the fandom, but the performance in a knockout game. If Rosselló thinks he can go into the Nou Camp, into the Allianz Arena, into
the Emirates,
the Emirates on a Champions League night, let alone a Carabao Cup
Stadium,
with that, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on a Champions League night, with that mentality, I don't see that team going anywhere. So I just think both teams pretty appalling performances in a Carabao Cup semi-final. And one thing I also wanted to touch on with Arsenal is I've given a lot of slack towards Arsenal, but these fans from other clubs coming on social media saying, "Oh, look at Arsenal celebrating like they've won the World Cup, for a Carabao Cup semi-final." Winning a trophy is huge for this Arsenal team. To get the momentum, to get the successes onwards, to winning a Premier League, to winning a Champions League. Every time we won the Carabao Cup, some of the best days we've had at Premier, at Anfield South. Some of the best days winning the Carabao Cup. So all respect to Arsenal, and they deserve to be in a final, and they deserve to celebrate being in a final. And if they win it, then all for them.
We have to talk about Premier League now. Liverpool, we just spoke about Newcastle too. They thrashed Newcastle 4-1 at Anfield. I would say man of the match performance from Florian, Wirtz, and Ekitike played very well as well. Now, Max, do you think that win relieved a lot of pressure off Arne Slot?
I think it did. I think if you lose or draw that game, we've got City this weekend, and if you don't pick up the result we need, then there's serious question marks, especially if Chelsea get a win and if United get a win, and we're dropping points in a key Champions League race. I think Liverpool, this team right now with the players needs to play Champions League football. I've said this. I don't want Europa League. I don't, obviously no club wants it, but I think the morale of the team will drop if we get Europa League with the standard and the big name players we have. Really impressed about the performance, if I'm being honest. The first 30 minutes wasn't too keen, conceded. And I thought, is this going to be another day at the office where we're just going to be second bested and we're going to be scared of opponents? Ekitike scores 2. And then still thinking at halftime, we haven't been the better team. Second half, we came out, didn't really have to leave second gear, to be honest. Very important result for Arne Slot, though. Very important Arne Slot. I've spoken about this on the group chat. I think if Slot makes Champions League football, you keep him, and it's a blip on the radar this season, unless it's not. But I think it's like I've said, it's important that we got a win. We got 3 points ahead of a massive game as well this weekend against Man City.
Yeah, and obviously Florian Wirtz, he's slowly sort of proving himself in the Premier League. Do you think Tyrese is starting to prove that doubters wrong, or are there still lots of question marks on Wirtz?
Look, Wirtz was never a bad player. That's the thing. He was never a bad player. He just took his time to adapt and obviously play in the Premier League because he wasn't. He was always a good player. He just didn't have the physicality, and he definitely just didn't have the doubts for the Premier League. But he's warming into it now. He's getting better every week, proving that I was wrong. And I expect, but it's what I expect for 100. What was it, 130 million, 125 million?
Yeah,
115, 120 around that mark.
120 million.
This is what I expect.
Yeah,
this is what I expect from a 120 million pound player. I expect you to come in and provide at least 10 goals and 10 assists. So he's underperforming. He still needs to build up and get to those stats by the end of the season. Because if he hasn't, at the end of the day, then the season is a failure for him.
You say that, and I think the price tag mainly is still his youth. I think we forget that he's been capped because he's been capped so many times by Germany. Similar sort of, you sort of look at the stats and you kind of think this is a guy that's been playing football. He's like 25, 26. This is like he's a 22-year-old kid still. Yeah, he's still got bags of time. And I think Florian Wirtz is one player that doesn't leave for Real Madrid or Barcelona in 3-4 years. I think he stays at Liverpool for the majority of his career. And I think Tyrese, I get your point, but I think for me, the price tag is the longevity. So I definitely think right now, Wirtz is on the right track. He's doing the right things. I've said this at the start of the season. He looks so good, just needs to meld in the system and Premier League football. And we're seeing it now. Player of the month, in my opinion, in January. What a signing at the moment. And if he continues this for 5, 6 seasons, it's going to feel like nothing, 120 million.
Yeah,
that first 6 months will feel like a bit.
The price tag can affect a player a lot. I mean, Jared will know, a similar thing happened to Moises Caicedo when he first joined Chelsea. His first season was very questionable. Like, I remember his debut against West Ham.
Was it a red card?
No, he gave me a penalty. And then for the rest of the season, he was heavily criticised, thinking, how have Chelsea managed to pay so much to Bryson when we always do it every season anyway? But on that occasion, we paid them 120 million.
My favourite shot man
I
out
think
there.
it's because you got him and Enzo in the same window.
Literally, that Brighton Chelsea connection.
But no, I mean, but now, my point is now you're seeing the very best of Caicedo. The following season, he was the one of the best CDMs in the Premier League, maybe even the world.
I did say, I know Liverpool wanted Isak and Isak wanted Liverpool, but when that whole, process was going on and it was just chaotic and there was so much chaos involved in it, and Liverpool went and picked up Ekitike in the meantime for 80, 90 million, something like that, I questioned why they even picked up Isak. Like, I get he was a world-class striker last season, but it always confused me because now they're in this position where firstly, one thing, you're already, now because of the Newcastle thing, you know what Isak's mentality is like, his attitude. So what's going to happen when he comes back? And of course, it's always form over anything, but we know Isak's a good player. Do you choose Ekitike because you know he's a quality player and that he's going to score you goals because he's already proven that? Or do you play someone that was probably one of the best strikers, if not the second best striker in the Prem last season, probably one of the best in the world? Do you bring him in? Because also, if you don't put him in, then the attitude happens. And this is why I'm surprised Liverpool still went for him. Because I think once that whole attitude thing happened, I was quite shocked. That normally steers clubs away from players that, I know he just did it because he wanted to push, but what does that also do once they're at the club? Now you've got this question mark of, when he's back, what's going to happen? See, there was even points I think where Ekitike was getting dropped, and you could see he has a bit of an attitude sometimes, but it's because he wants to play and he's a good player. And I think it just will lead to one of them leaving at some point. Depends on what one. I'm not too sure.
I think it's going to be Isak to Real Madrid.
I actually think it's more likely.
I think that's what's going to
You
happen.
say Isak. I think it's more likely to be Ekitike.
But I
don't know.
You know what? In hindsight, Ekitike. Yeah,
you're going to make
just felt like a panic buy at the time.
That's what I mean. And I feel like because of Ekitike's age, I know Isak's young as well, but because of just Ekitike's age and the money you got him for, you're more guaranteed to make guaranteed profit off him too as a Liverpool sale. Isak you bought for big money. You're not going to sell your big sale unless Isak doesn't turn out to be the player he is, which he's obviously going to be because we all know what he's capable of. Even before his injury from, apologies, Mickey van der Ven, he scored, he scored the goal. He's still got that ability in him. I do generally believe Ekitike will probably go to, Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, something like that. It will happen at some point. Maybe not next season, but the season after, because these bounce between these two is just going to be chaotic.
Yeah, there's something's going to
it's going to blow up at one point. It's just waiting.
Something's got to give at some point.
I honestly believe Liverpool are now balanced a little bit out as well because Isak is injured, just because it means that there's less of this rotation battle between the two of them. You've got the likes of Ekitike and Wirtz, because the hardest bit is sometimes is constantly changing players, and then those players losing their connections with each other.
Yeah.
Because Ekitike and Wirtz are constantly starting with each other now, they're getting that motto.
They're getting the best out of each other.
They're getting their mojo. I saw it with Son and Kane, for years. They just knew how to play next to each other. As soon as you took one of them out, they were still world-class players and they could still do big things in big moments, but it just didn't feel right. And I feel like that's the same with Wirtz and Ekitike at the moment.
Yeah, go on.
Who would you rather, out of the two, let go? Ekitike or Isak?
I mean, obviously, right now it's not a question. I'd want Ekitike to stay at the club for what he's done so far. I honestly do. I understand where Tom's coming from, but I actually do think Isak is the more likely to leave. Just the way seeing the way he acted in Newcastle, I just think that's in his personality. It's in his DNA. He wants to play for big teams. Fair play. Let him go to Real Madrid in 2 years. I actually think this is a big problem in multiple ways for Liverpool. One, it's a disaster waiting to happen, and two, we don't have a striker that's willing to sit on the bench and come on for Liverpool Football Club.
Like you think of Corrigi's.
We need a striker. I think Liverpool need a striker. It's sad to say RIP, Diogo Jota was the perfect player. Didn't mind sitting on the bench. And then when he came on as a striker, he banged in a a few goals.
He would have started
Arsenal for years. Yeah, sorry, Tyrese. He used to terrorise Arsenal. But now it's like,
he did
obviously we've got, with Isak injured, we've got two players, that want to play first team football and won't not play first team football. And both are going to be unhappy coming off the bench. And I think this is, another time where I think Darwin Núñez, we alluded to this guy, we all called him a clown, but he didn't mind coming off the bench. When he came off the bench, he had so much energy. Bang, bang, bang.
It did annoy him in the end.
Chaos for you guys.
It did annoy him in the end, but we had him for 3 seasons off the bench.
Yeah.
I don't see either of these players sitting on the bench.
Do you know what would be a
season, let alone a full season?
I'm not saying he's good enough, but it'd be a great backup buy right now. I'm not saying he's like, Liverpool's starting striker, because he's not. But if you was to let one go and it was, just say it was this summer, you needed to let one go, pick a player up, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not trying to say like that. It wouldn't be a bad. Mateta would not be a bad pickup. I
don't think it fits our style. I just
don't
think
too old.
I know,
but you're too old.
No, but I'm
I
just
get
thinking as a backup striker, a Premier League proven backup striker who can guarantee to score goals. He's not
from a backup striker. You need someone who comes on and they bring a bit of chaos. When you're 1-1 in a game.
Mateta does bring chaos, to be fair.
He's just a big guy. He just causes physicality, comes on, you've got a dangerous shot on him.
If Mateta was to go to Liverpool, he'd want to be number one. He'd want to be first choice.
Yeah, no, he would. But he would understand why he wouldn't be starting, though. He would still, I think, move from Crystal Palace to Liverpool and still be happy to be.
God, I miss the days of Lord Divock Origi, man. Oh my God.
That was prime.
That was prime. But look, in an ideal world, like going back to Jared's question, I'd want both. I think any football fan in the world would want both of those strikers playing for their football club. But realistically, that's not possible. So right now, it have to be Ekitike for the way he's playing red
But
shirt.
I do think the Liverpool board will put pressure on Slot if Isak. Not only Isak will put pressure on him, but the Liverpool board will put pressure on Slot if Isak doesn't start games, because that's 100 million they paid up.
You'll probably find it in his contract.
But that comes back to my point with Tom, is saying that it feels now like Ekitike, the great player he is, and I always knew he was a great player, it felt like a bit of a panic buy, because we were thinking, what if we don't get Isak? You know, what's our plan B? You know, and look,
only for the reason that he was going to go to Newcastle.
Yeah,
he was
basically.
Spurs at one point, which was quite interesting.
But that's good. But we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot in a year or so. It's going to shoot ourselves in the foot. Our main problem this season hasn't been up front. It's been
at the back. Yeah,
it's been at the back.
You brought a new centre back in, haven't you?
Well,
we brought we bought Xavi.
You've got to remember, you changed 2 fullbacks in your defense, and that is a big thing.
You bought Xavi, and then you loaned him back out to.
It's strange, really strange. We loaned him straight away. Just bring him in straight away.
I think because one of the reasons Chelsea didn't sign him, because we wanted him straight away, and Runs weren't willing to let him go. So I think that's why Liverpool got the agreement to allow him to spend the rest of the season.
Well, I don't get why, but we need now. We need now.
Yeah, I understand completely. But I think my point is just
where's our defence?
My point was to get the deal over the line. I think Rennes were probably tough negotiators, because he's played really well for Rennes up until this point. So to let him go middle of the season was always going to be difficult. So to agree for him to spend the season back at his former club now, probably.
However, on the Liverpool foot, Van Dijk's 34 now.
Yeah.
You can't. It was like Thiago Silva when Thiago Silva played for us. Obviously, Thiago Silva was older, but even when Thiago Silva came in at 36, you knew he couldn't play every game week in, week out. You know, you got 2-3 games, and apart from Joe Gomez, Ibrahima Konate, and Van Dijk, who else have they got? They let Kwanzaa go. They let their Italian centre back. What's his name?
Leone.
Leone.
Everyone
got injured the rest of the season.
The thing is, though, everyone knows who Liverpool want in their defence, because it was linked in this window. They want Van de Ven as a Van Dijk replacement.
That's my dream signing. That is my dream
signing. Van de Ven is Spurs' best defender.
You know what? I'd be scared to let him go. I would be. It's such a scary moment, because I don't think we will lose Van de Ven, because I generally believe we're more likely. I would have said we're more likely to lose Romero than Van de Ven, but I think
Romero's not a better player, though.
Technically, he's the better. Romero's the better defender right now, just because he has a bit more of a personality. But Van de Ven is such a top centre back. He's just got attributes that no centre back has, and he probably will be the better defender. But Romero, just when you actually watch Spurs, I'm a Spurs supporter. I watch Spurs. I love Van de Ven. Van de Ven's my favourite player.
I will say,
when you watch them both, Romero, everyone would take Van de Ven over Romero all day. Yeah. All day, of course, for the future, for everything. But currently, right now, Romero, just like I know everyone watches Van. The thing is, you're going to say Van Ven because of his attributes, because no one's seen anything like it. But if you actually watch Spurs play and watch defensively us play and watch how we break down teams and watch how we score our goals, a lot of it comes through Romero this season, and he's been a leader in doing that too. You know, and I was
going to say, Romero's a better leader, but Van de Ven's a better defender.
Yeah.
Romero's technically a better
Romero's rash
player. Like defensively, but he is rash. He is rash. But Van de Ven, the thing is, Romero is actually a better defensively player, because Van de Ven has his pace to get him out of trouble. He does. Van de Ven has pace to get himself out of trouble. Romero's actual positioning and defensive awareness is much better than Van de Ven. But Van de Ven is still just so, like, he will grow, that'll grow. Imagine when that grows and his defensive awareness is just that good. You won't be able to get past him.
I just want a Mickey Van de Ven versus Alexander Isak primetime event at the AXA Training Centre.
You know what? I would be so scared to lose Van de Ven, but I also think Spurs have on loan one of the most upcoming young centre-back talents in the world. You're going to be shocked, but his name goes by. You probably know him.
Oh no!
Fuskovic.
This is Wilson. This is Wilson on the bear all over again, isn't it?
No. This guy's completely different,
right
though. No, this guy. I don't know if you've been watching him. He's literally been named like halfway through the Bundesliga. He's on loan in the Bundesliga. He's already been named the player of the season in the Bundesliga.
Please don't do a Reese. Please.
I know for a fact you'll be shocked. He's going to come.
Don't go down the Reese route.
This is like
No, I'm not going to. But just wait. You're not going to call me crazy. You're not going to call me crazy. But this boy, look at clips of him. Watch him. He's literally been named the Bundesliga player of the season. He's 18, 19 years old. He's going to be in our starting 11 next year when we play.
You thought me saying Chelsea win the Champions League was
on. We've been
JP, move on because you can't judge him off
gone in
clips.
circles again.
We can't judge him off clips.
That was crazy.
2-0 down against Man City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think we all predicted them to lose.
No, JP. I said they would win.
You said
they won 2-all.
To be fair, yeah,
Spurs
They won 2-all, not drawn 2-all. They won 2-all.
No, but to be fair, if you watch towards the end of the game after the 2-2, Tottenham could have easily won it. They had a few chances. I think Odegaard went really close to scoring.
The goat.
He's been good for us. He's actually been good for us.
Better than Martinelli, by the way. Better than Martinelli.
Look, he's good.
He's 20 years old. Something like that. Let him be.
But speaking about that match now, obviously Tottenham, they halted to Man City's bid for the title. I think Man City will probably regret not taking their chances in the first half. But would you give credit to Thomas Frank, Tom, for that draw?
I mean, the first half was a bit scrappy. Don't get me wrong. But that's this season. I don't know why we've been doing this a lot this season. Our first half, we've had an absolute rotter. It was even when we lost 2-1 to West Ham. Absolute rot of a first half, could have been 3-4-0 down. And I know we still somehow lost that game 2-1, but if you actually watch that game and over full 90 minutes, the West Ham one, I'll come to see it again in a sec, because it was exactly the same. We just didn't take our chances against West Ham. The West Ham were dominated for 50 minutes of that game. The fact that they even actually won that game was just... it was a bit crazy, to be honest. They got a corner, they did nothing, and then somehow got a corner and just Vicario Flappy Bird, and, he will be replaced next season. I'm pretty sure we're linked to Sunderland's goalkeeper for the summer. I don't know why he took off Romero. I don't know if Romero had a knock. I'm not too sure behind it. I haven't heard any news of that. I think he's okay, but just have to... It was maybe just a wary thing because we don't want him injured, because without him, we have one fit centre-back currently. After he was taken off, which is a bit bad, but hopefully it might even be, we have to maybe take that Vuskovic off loan, bring him into the club. But no, we were great. I mean, there's one thing I've realised, give Thomas Frank credit. One thing I have to back him with was, and he never used it as an excuse, and normally I wouldn't have even said it was an excuse. I haven't all season, but it has shown that the injuries that we've had and some of the players...
Oh, here we go. Get violence. Get the violence.
I'm not saying because we still had a good enough squad to win certain games. We should be beating West Ham, we should be beating Nottingham Forest. Just because our team isn't the full starting 11, we should still have a good enough squad to beat those teams. And I agree with that. And that's where Tom Frank. But the last 4 games, he has changed his tactics, changed his formations, which we never saw Ange do, at least, especially when we were at our worst. Ange
and
never.
To be fair, he got a big win at Burnley away, didn't he?
He played it. Look. We're still getting results of that. Once again, if you watch that game, that was a game of pure domination from Spurs. I'm pretty sure we hit the crossbar 3 times. It was just a game of look. We all have those games. Arsenal dominated Nottingham Forest, drew 0-0. You just have those games where it just happens, right? Against West Ham, we dominated them, but in the City game, we dominated them and we took our chances in that second half. There's a difference, it just. Things happen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to talk about injuries being an excuse, but it shows that when you get the likes of Solanke actually come back instead of having Kolo Muani or Richarlison, who aren't terrible strikers, but it's just obviously so clear that Solanke is the best striker we have. And it's quite obvious, he's come back, he's got 4 goals in 4 games, in all competitions, and that's straight back from injury, scoring in the Champions League, scoring 2 goals against City, a brace against City. And don't get me wrong, he pretty scored probably a goal of the season already. Don't get me wrong. I don't.
Oh.
I mean, how often do you?
Come on.
How often do you see a scorpion kick?
You're
he scored
me.
How many times do you see a scorpion kick a season, and how many times does it go top kick?
Come on. that goal, it wasn't. It was a good goal, but it wasn't anything crazy. It's not goal of the season.
Look, I wouldn't say
Okay,
goal
let
of the
get an
season,
Arsenal.
but
Okay,
it
get
was a very
Arsenal
good
score that
goal.
type of goal, and let Gyökeres score that, and let's see how crazy they go for
A
seeing
scorpion
Gyökeres.
kick. A scorpion kick is Giroud against Palace. That's a scorpion
That
kick.
score, yeah, but that scorpion kick went dipped over Donnarumma, who's a 6'7" goalie, who actually got his hand to it and still couldn't get it away. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's always luck involved in those type of shots because, you know, he's got hit perfectly on the sole. He's got to hit the perfect angle. But he intentionally done it. But he obviously
Not goal of the season, though.
Going to be come out as perfect as it does. I mean, if you put a bet on that, it's probably like 50-1 for him to score a scorpion kick. 100-1. It just doesn't happen. But he has been good, and you know, and then you're going to start getting. Hopefully, stop getting injuries. Actually, it'd be nice. But you know, Gallagher looked good though. Gallagher actually in that second half, he was.
Gallagher's a good player though. Gallagher's always been a good player.
He didn't show it at first, and then I kind of saw, like, I knew he's a good player, but I didn't know if he was this player that Spurs needed, if that made sense at that period, because we already had players like him. You know, Saba, Val, all type of players that pick up the ball and drive through it, like runners in midfield. We've got those type of players. But he had a good second half, really ran right in that midfield. You know, he was great. Got the assist for obviously the scorpion kick. But no, but
they won 2-2 and scorpion kick.
But the work rate before, but if you watch the work rate before the score, if you watch before the assist, if you actually watch before the assist, his work rate was brilliant, picking up the ball, driving it through. I think it's the last 4 or 5 games, especially when we've changed his formation, and I will give Frank credit in a second. The 4 or 5, you know, games Simons has had, same as Wirtz. I mean, don't get me wrong, Wirtz was always supposed to be the better player, but I think we'll have to agree Simons is starting to really show his price tag. His ability on the ball, taking on people. Obviously needs to get a few more goals, which will come because you can already see it. He's getting opportunities, getting chances, but his playmaking ability, you know, that outside of foot shot pass to Solanke for the first goal, you know, unbelievable. He dominated Rodri. I mean, I'm pretty sure he got in Rodri's head how much Rodri should have been sent off in that game. I'm not too sure how he wasn't. Even Pep, you know, knew he was running right and took him off straight away because he knew he was supposed to be sent off and his head was lost.
Rodri might be the worst Ballon d'Or winner we've had in a while.
No, I don't know. That's harsh.
No,
I think that's
very good season that season.
No, I think he was unbelievable.
He wasn't better than Vinny Jr.
Didn't he play 70 odd games and not win and not lose one game? Simons, obviously, great praise. I'm sure you boys can agree that he's been good last few games. But Thomas Frank, I did slander him, and I still think he's under pressure. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that pressure.
Mission the statutes on. Get Frankie the statue.
Look, I don't think what I've got to give Thomas Frank credit with, and you can see in the last 4 games. I know Ty will bang on that we drew 2-2 to Burnley, but he's changed since that night that he was in trouble. You know, that Dortmund night. He decided to be brave. You know, he knew he had nothing left to lose. You know, he knew if he lost that game, he's probably lost a job, right? So he was brave, and he decided, you know what, I'm going to completely change the tactics. You know, I've been doing the same thing all year, but I'm just going to try something new. You know, if it doesn't work, doesn't work. But he's done that, and he's gone from losing, you know, every single game, possibly, you know, for the last 15 games. I think we won like 2 in 14, 2 in 15, something like that. He's now unbeaten for 4 games. That includes 2 clean sheets and 2 wins in the Champions League, getting us into the top 8.
This is like the Liverpool unbeaten run now.
Yeah, I know, but they're top 8. And he's got us. Obviously, the draw against Burnley wasn't great, but we did still play good in that game. We looked more attacking. I know it's only Burnley, but we still looked more promising than we'd ever looked against the likes of West Ham and Forest, etc. And then City game, yeah, don't get me wrong, first half wasn't great, but we looked good still in that second half. We really looked like a Spurs team that can work, and this back 3 seems to be working. And that's got to be a Thomas Frank credit. You know, I still think he's under pressure, don't get me wrong, but you have to give a manager credit that he's trying something new. He's done the tactics, it's worked, you know, and you just have to give him a bit of praise. You know, he's had slander all year. You know, and you've got to praise a manager where it's due. And
exactly, give him praise for 14th place.
Pardon?
Give him praise for being in 14th. He's doing well above his means.
No, I'm not giving him praise for him, but that's why I say he's still under pressure because he's still so low down. But you got to remember, he's still got us top 8 in the Champions League, which I think has kept him his job, really. I think that's what the board were looking between, if he could get in those qualifying spots.
Because the board probably think he got a chance of winning the UCL.
No, because by qualifying in the top 8, you get 40 million, and then after that, you get more and more money. So it's a money thing. Yeah. 45 million for getting that top 8 in the Champions League. So it's a lot of money for a club. For a club that pays for hopefully a transfer in this window.
You'll pay for the players needed for Tottenham to stay up.
Joe Lewis, I know, who I've ranted on about before, being he's brought Spurs to a good place, with his money, but he's got to a point where Daniel Levy had to run a football club, not him. It was his money. He's a good business owner, don't get me wrong. He's a rich man for a reason. But Daniel Levy was the business owner. He knew how to run a business. Obviously, didn't have the business to. He never had them. I don't think Daniel Levy ever had the money to take Spurs further than what they did, which is right, because that's what Spurs need. They need a big money owner now. I'm not saying they're as good as business people like the Saudi or like the Americans coming in. They're not as maybe good business owners, but they've got a hell lot more money to actually purchase big players and play bigger contracts. I think our max wages is 200k. I've said this before. We have a fixed thing on 200,000k.
That's poor. That's poor.
It's poor. It's been like that for years. Like Kane was on 200k, Son was on 200k. Van der Ven is actually the reason we're offering him a contract is because Van der Ven's on 90,000. He's on less than Drakusin. But then when Van der Ven was bought, he was only 21 years old. He wasn't he was a good player, but he was not expected to be as good as he was that quick.
So what's Simmons on? What's Simmons on?
Simmons is probably, I'd have to check. I mean, someone could possibly check if you want, like Tottenham's salary, but Simmons probably on about 150, 175, maybe 200. He was our star signing. But
I'm going to check your salary.
Yeah, but like Spurs have a very fixed contract. Apparently, there was news that when Daniel Levy left and the ownership were changing things, that the contract wages would change. But I'm not sure how true that was, because it doesn't seem any better. That is why
he's on 195.
195. See, do you see what I mean? He's just under the 200 mark, because for some reason we won't go over this 200 mark. Don't get me wrong, it's made up. It's a business. It's clever business because it's made us where we are today. It's made us make profit. It's a clever contract fix. But how does that make us get any further than where we are now? That is the biggest fault. And do you know what people say? It's because we don't spend the money. We do. We can spend money on players. We can. We spent 60 odd million on 3, 4, 5, 6 players. I know that doesn't seem a lot, but it is as a Spurs fan, and it is in today's market. Really, it's going to be hard for Spurs to pick up an 100 mil player. Let's be honest.
Because you won't give them the wages. If you don't give them the wages, they won't come.
Yeah, but that has always been the hardest thing, the wages. That we have lost a lot of players.
We've got 6 players that are earning over 200k.
You'll probably find, I know Eze probably wanted to go to Arsenal anyway, because there was Arsenal is a more attractive
Eze's on 180. Eze's on 180.
You'll probably find Eze would probably only give him 150 for Spurs or something like that. You'll probably find that's what, also made the big move. More money, more thing. But Spurs, if you ever look at like Kane's contract, everything, Kane was never on over 200,000. Don't get me wrong, there was probably, I think Spurs do some contract things like the goal bonuses, win bonuses, like a lot of the contract is used within that. But we've never ever put in a contract over 200,000. That is just the Joe Louis way. That was always Joe Louis way, and that's what I mean by Spurs need a new owner, because this can't. We're never going to go further than what we are without this.
Can't go on like this, can it?
It can't go on like this, can it? Strand Larsen has not had a good season, let's be real. But neither have Wolves. Wolves have been terrible. If you remember Strand Larsen for the season before, he was a decent striker. There's a reason he got that price tag. He was a decent striker. Yeah. He was never the Cunha level, but he's not 50 million. Though. The fact that he's 50 million is crazy to me. Like, don't get me wrong. I think he's only earned that price tag for 2 reasons. One, because of the season he had before, but not that his season was a 50 million price tag.
What was his season he had before?
What season did he have? He was have like what, 6, 7 goals?
No, I'm not going crazy here.
No, but I think the main thing behind that price tag fee is probably because he's a Premier League striker, like Premier League striker backs as well.
Wait. Last season, 24-25, he got 14 Premier League goals.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Did you not know that?
I didn't realise he was that good.
This is why I kept saying, because of last season, his last season gave him a bit of a price tag, and
That's not bad,
his age, and you got to remember, Wolves have been terrible this season. They lost Cunha.
Yeah, I mean, this year he's got one Premier League goal.
Honestly, I'd pay 50 million just to hear
that
chant. I'd pay 50 million just to hear the Strand Larsen chant at Liverpool. Strand Larsen, whoa! Strand Larsen, whoa! If
Right.
you Newcastle, you're not buying him because you can't have him.
Chelsea, we won just about against West Ham after being 2-0 down. Just quickly, Tom, do you think that means West Ham are relegated?
No.
Considering they had a 2-0 lead and they gave it away in such a manner.
No, don't look. They're poor this season. Don't be wrong. And like even going into that game, people probably thought West Ham are going to lose anyway. You know, they've been poor, but they look better now. Like they've dropped a few players. Like Kilman's been dropped, and Tatibo's looking like more like a centre back that they've signed. You know, that people saw him in the French league as like he's growing a little bit. Mavropanos, who I never really rated, actually looks quite decent at the moment too. Got to give him credit where it's due. But they're finding their rhythm a little bit. I actually think those two players they've brought in, those what's their names? Castellanos and something.
Yeah, Castellanos
Castellanos.
and another striker.
Fabio. It's like Fabio.
Oh, there was something dodgy with those transfers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because didn't that was it? No, it was the other guy, wasn't it? That he was bought for 200k, and then they paid what 13, 14 million pound for him within 6 months, and
I'm not sure.
He was playing in a kebab league. I don't know why they signed him. I don't really see why they've signed two average strikers.
I'm not. Yeah, but do you know what though? They, in fairness, I get that, but they've changed that West Ham side. They actually look a bit more like they can do stuff up top now. There looks like a bit more of a pattern of play. Like they've got a striker that can hold up the ball and make things happen. Like that Castellanos, you know, can make stuff happen. He does look, you know, he's not like the top striker that, you know, a club needs, but he causes problems. He gets shots off. He creates things. You know, it allows Bowen now to get more involved. You know, coming off that right, cutting in. You're seeing the space, and the Fabio as well in the middle. He's just caught. They're just causing issues, you know, for other clubs now, and it's allowing like the likes of Somerville and Bowen playing off those left and right hand sides. You know, who before was just locked down because no one had to worry about their middle part of down the centre of the West Ham team. That, you know, is allowing Somerville and Bowen to like really shine and take their mans on, you know, put them in 1v1 scenarios, allowing them to both cut in and shoot. And, you know, it's getting West Ham, you know, goals now, and you can see it happening, you know. And Somerville and Bowen starting to look like the players they were last season. Well, especially Somerville, at Leeds, is starting to look like the player he was, and Bowen's becoming, you know, everyone knows Bowen's a top player. Let's be honest. Probably got good money on Paqueta leaving, so that helped. You know, they're just starting to look a bit more, moulding a bit more now. Like I think Nuno's starting to get what he needs out of certain players, and I just think the likes of Leeds, like I know Leeds have been good this season, but they're just starting to lose their rhythm a little bit. Calvert-Lewin's not getting the goals that he once was. Let's be real. I think Burnley and Wolves are down. So is that just that one spot?
Big point for Burnley, though. Big point for Burnley.
It was a big point. But sometimes I do say, could Nottingham Forest go down because they don't look great? But I just can't see Sean Dyche getting relegated like ever. I just can't. Like even when he was at Burnley, even when he was at Everton, like they were poor, but he just pulls points out the bags that just keep teams up. And I think the same with Nuno. I think Nuno just knows how to keep a team in the Premier. He's a Premier League manager, and Daniel Farke, you know, he's finally come into the Premier League, and he, you know, promoted a team, and he's actually looks like he was on the rise to keeping them in the Prem for once. You know, how many times did he do that with Norwich? Up, down, up, down. But I don't know. I don't. What is the point gap between West Ham and Leeds right now?
6 points.
That's what I mean. 6 points. They were way ahead, and now, you know, I don't think 6 points is a lot for the likes of West Ham. I do think they will. Don't get me wrong. They've still got a lot of work to do, but
I mean, West Ham are playing Burnley next, so that match will be huge.
Well, Tadibo, I mean, the look in his face, it looked like he was going to kill someone. I don't know what Tadibo was thinking. Tadibo was on one that night.
Yeah.
But Adama Traore, oh my god, he made everyone laugh. He done what everyone wants to do, especially to Cucurella. Nobody can stand Cucurella. Really unlikable footballer in the Prem, unfortunately. He is something like. So the fact that he got picked up and thrown across the whole stadium, yeah, big up to Adama Traore. That was hilarious. And obviously, João Pedro then tried to pipe up and then quickly realised if you go back for Adama Traore. So yeah, no, I thought it was quite funny. Nothing serious. Adama definitely, no red card. No red card's the right decision.
Yeah,
he's passionate. He's passionate in what he did. But that Tadibo is a fair red card. I don't know what Tadibo was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you could you spoke about João Pedro there. You could see the fear in João Pedro's eyes as soon as you saw Adama Traore running towards him. And Tadibo, yeah, he just lost his head a little bit. There was no need for him to get involved at all, really. And I think it's probably cost
one of the worst signings. He's been one of the worst West Ham signings ever.
Who? Tadibo?
No, he's actually he's been one of the best defenders for the past couple of weeks.
I was praising because I know he got the red card, but he was poor. Don't get me wrong. I thought when they signed him, he was a top signing. Like I thought, wow, they picked up Tadibo. It's pretty good.
He was rumoured with United, Liverpool.
He was really, really rusty. But you got to remember, like every, like Caicedo, like that. He wasn't like the money Caicedo was, but it sometimes takes a season just to kick on. And the last few weeks, he hasn't really been starting because they were starting Mavropanos and Kilman.
Because he's got an attitude problem.
But then they realised Kilman was actually terrible. And and they decided to give Tadibo a go. And to be fair to him, he has kicked on a little. He's started, he's just showing what he did in the French league, but he's starting to get a bit, he realised he can be more physical in this league, and he's starting to use his strength, his pace, because he is he's not Van de Ven quick, but he's a damn fast guy. You're not many attackers are going to find it easy to get past him on like a one-on-one, sprint through because he's strong and he's fast. So, and he's just, the only thing he had to work on was his timing, getting those tackles correct, getting those tackles right. And he's starting to do that. Like, I watched him against Spurs. He was good against Spurs. I thought he was one of their bright, shining defenders in that game. Pretty sure he actually was good against Chelsea. I just think he had a rough. I think he just had a head loss at the end there, but
even before that, he nearly scored for West Ham. He hit the post inside the box, so he could have won the game.
I don't think he had a bad. He's been pretty good, and I think it's going to be a big. Do you know what? Funny enough, I think it's going to be quite a big loss because I don't know how many games he's out for now.
It's 3 matches.
I think that's a big. I don't know who West Ham got in those 3 games. Hopefully, none of the. I know they got Burnley, but hopefully they ain't got like the likes of Leeds or Forest or anything because. I think he's probably their best defender at the moment that's gone, missing for 3 games. So
that
could be a big one. But yeah, some players like Tadibo, just silly. You're the best centre back currently. You're on good form. Yeah, you've lost the game. It's a bit frustrating, but don't use a head loss like that. No head loss. What did he actually do, Tadibo?
Yeah,
I heard it was silly and straight red. Huh?
He grabbed JP. He grabbed JP by the head. He grabbed JP by the neck.
Yeah, what did he actually do?
Exactly what I said. He grabbed João Pedro by the throat.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll send you the video later, maybe, so you can have a look.
But not the real JP, though. This is the real JP. The fake JP.
See, I would have said if it was Cucurella, I'd say it's just a yellow.
No, but to any player though. If you do that to any
player, no, Cucurella is fine. Any other player.
That brings up a good point because, for instance, when João Pedro's in good form at the moment, right? Whenever Chelsea posts on Instagram, they always say JP's done this, JP's done that. I should claim copyright, really.
No, one day, do you know what you should do? You should try and get the same TikTok name as João Pedro. You should change it a little bit. So, one day they're atting João Pedro and they accidentally press your name and you get.
Who knows? Aston Villa lost at home to Brentford, and I don't know if you guys have seen. Aston Villa were complaining about the ball not crossing the line, when it clearly.
The thing that went way over the line.
Yeah,
it's not. You remember that game against Arsenal when you couldn't tell if it gone over the line or not?
Yeah,
and it because there really wasn't a camera angle. No, this is bad. There's literally the most obvious camera angle ever of the ball, not even just like a thread off the pitch. It's about this much off the pitch.
Yeah.
When was that?
It's in the Villa Brentford game. If you search up Gabby Abomlahor, Like, actually, go on Brentford's TikTok. You'll see they have a video of Gabby and Bomlahor on there, like moaning about it because they actually they posted it and took the mick out of Gabby, and you'll see they're moaning about the ball wasn't off because they scored or something. And yeah, look.
Oh, the ball's definitely off.
It's way off.
Yeah,
Way off.
I don't know what, like, if it was slightly like on the line, I'll be like, this is a fair, like, you know,
Yeah.
I can get why there could be a debate, but I don't know what is going on in this. I don't even know what Gabby has seen. I don't know if he did. I don't know if he recorded that maybe straight after the like game and it was done
Maybe.
live.
I think there must have been like a show after match finished, and then he just reacted to it. But
was the ball 100% out? No one will ever know.
and then it's the music. It's the dun 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 dun.
Ogbonlahor is. I mean, he is.
He's a very biased. He was a good player for Villa and a fair play, but he's a very
extremely
biased.